Let's get rid of some games. It's time to cut the bloat. It's time to just cut it out. I'm surrounded by boxes of games, and I need them all to go. Well, I don't need them all to go. I like games a lot, but these are the ones that I am removing from my collection, and some are very hard to part with. It is time for another culling, another purging. Let us give ourselves over to the purge and get rid of some of this stuff that we've been holding on to that we don't need. Like this Survivor board game, which my good friend and now nemesis Josh did give to me because, well, I love Survivor. I gave it to me when I was in a Survivor comedy competition here in Toronto, which I won. But yes, it was the proudest moment of my life. I'm never going to play this. You know what? I'm going to give this to Josh so that if we do want to play it, he can hold it in his hands at his house, and then we can see what this weird, awkward trivia game is for. But I bring it up because the idea of... So that's number one. We got it. Right off the bat. Boom. Starting this video strong. I swear there's some other more legitimate games to get rid of, like Connect 4. I have a copy of Connect 4. You know what? No, we'll talk about that later. I legitimately like Connect 4, and I don't care what you say or how many subscribers I lose because all my credit is now invalidated. But I think culling games is really important. I feel myself and a lot of the people who watch this channel likely have a large collection of games. And the reality of the situation is that you're not going to play them all. You haven't been playing them that much. And in fact, there are the games that are on your shelf that you consistently think that you are going to play, and when you reach for them, you then say, oh, but that one does what I like about this game, and it does it better, and you're always going to grab that other one, right? We have our favorites and things, and that's good because we're developing what we like, and these games have existed in our lives for a time at which to help cultivate our experience of fun, and getting rid of them doesn't mean we love them any less, but we love them a little bit less. And so that's what this video is about. That's what these culling videos are about. That's why I like to do them. And I like to talk about the reasons why games used to be in the collection and why they're going from the collection. I think that is hopefully valuable and hopefully interesting, and hopefully can spur you as well to take that step and get rid of some of those games. You don't have to start with 20, but once you start, it's hard to stop. And there are a lot of games here that, like, I'm reaching the point of my board game collection, which is very exciting for me when I look at the shelves and I get really excited at everything. But there are some of these games where I know I'm still excited about them, but when I reach for them, I'm going to reach for something else. And time, very limited, right? We're all basically about to die. Sorry for this conversation of mortality, but that's what you signed up for in this Purge video. You shouldn't have gone in with the Purge if you didn't want a conversation about mortality. And there just isn't... Oh, I just saw a game that I love that everybody who I play games with hates. And so that's also a reason why I have to get rid of that game, and it really hurts me to my core. I know I will feel better for it, and I know I'm not playing these games, and somebody else could be playing these games, and then I can get some money to go into purchasing more games. It's the cycle of life. And I can give these to my friends if they're interested, and if not, then I can trade them for something else. So it's difficult to decide where to begin, but I guess I'm thinking about retention here, but just stick with me. I swear it's worth it. As I tell you why I'm getting rid of Connect 4. Do I have to give you something good? I gotta give you something good. I'll give you a good one. I'll give you a really good one next. I'll go back and forth between bad and good. No, most of the games are good. Like, Connect 4 is... I don't know when I got this, and I don't know why I've been holding on to it, but I have been holding on to it, and it's made the cut past like a lot of culls because there's something like super nostalgic and super joyful from my childhood about it. And I know I'm not going to pull out Connect 4 on a game night, but there's always like a little part of me that's like, maybe I just play a game of Connect 4. You know what I mean? I think we all have those games where it's just like, these suck, but I love them. But Connect 4 has just got to go. It's ludicrous that I'm holding on to it, especially when my space is at an all-time premium, and like I'm really investing in this hobby. It's a ludicrous thing for me to have, especially since I still have something that scratches all of my Connect 4 itches. This is a really like, you can't get this because it doesn't exist. This was a prototype for a game called Letter Drop that never made it to Kickstarter, and that I'm still holding on to because it's a legitimately good game. And it's just like Scrabble meets Connect 4. Gives me all my Connect 4 goodness, and yeah, now Connect 4 can go to another home. I'm going to give you a good one here. This is a game that I love. This is sort of the worker placement grandfather, if you will. You're building a castle. You can see on the back, yeah. You're building a castle, and then you're also building all these little small towns in this row. These little houses. And so all those houses are basically new worker placement spots, places you can go and you can get the stuff that you want to get. However, there's a really mean mechanic in this game where there's this provost who's walking along the path, and if he hasn't walked far enough along the path to like check out or inspect your house, those actions don't get to happen. It's like your house isn't up to code, you can't do the action. It's like, oh, but I actually put a worker in here because I was expecting you to walk down the road and I was expecting to use that action, but somebody else saw that I was going to do that and just distracted you with a butterfly and forced you to move upstream. And so now I legitimately can't take that action. So it's super mean because every placement of a worker costs you money, and money is scarce in this game. And if you spend money and then somebody else spends money to just send it up the river, it's infuriating. And while I really like that aspect of infuriation, everyone who I've tried this with has hated it. And even like my diehard fans, like my friend Matt, who's been on the channel a couple times, he likes a lot of the same games that I do. Even I couldn't get him on board with it. I couldn't get Zach on board with it. And it's so painful to me to let Caylus go, but I have to be honest with myself that nobody wants to play it with me. And it's something that's even better. It shines at more than 2 players, and nobody wants to play it with me. And so I will happily play a game of Caylus anytime at somebody else's house. The good thing with games is that eventually you'll meet someone who might own them. And so I feel comfortable letting Caylus go, but this one is a really tough one that I was going to save to the end, but I needed to tell you now to improve my clout that I like good games and not just Connect 4. Okay, let's move along to some cheats. There are some cheats on this list, but I'm just going to talk about them because, well, one of them is Stardust Coffee. And the reason I'm getting rid of this version of Stardust Coffee, well, it's because I have this version of Stardust Coffee. And they're basically the same. I did a review on Stardust Coffee. This is the thing that they sent me, and then they just sent me a copy because I did a review on it. I honestly would get rid of both copies, but I have a couple people in my life who enjoy playing it, and so I'm keeping it for them. And if they decide that they don't want to play it, then it'll probably go. But until they decide that, then it'll stay. And so I'll probably give this copy to one of them as well, the prototypey one, or I'll destroy it depending on what they want me to do with it. So that's one that's going. Stardust Coffee, it's like a pick up and deliver sort of, it feels like a roll and write. Definitely feels like a roll and write without the writing. So if you like that aspect of it, I'd definitely check it out. But for me, it was just a little too lightweight. Still would play it though. I think it's fine. It's just like, I find roll and writes to be generally just fine, and I think it's a roll and write. So there you go. I'm going to get rid of, and then we held hands. Next, oh no, we're talking about the cheats. Another cheat that I just think is funny is I have to get rid of Hanabi, and then we held hands made me think of it, because this isn't my copy of Hanabi, and I accidentally stole it from my girlfriend's parents. So I gotta give that back. But that's why I can include it on the list because it shouldn't have been here to begin with. But I gotta keep it in a separate section so that I remember to give it back. This is what happens too. If you lose track of your games, you think, oh yeah, that's probably mine. But the reason why I'm getting rid of it and then we held hands is because Hanabi exists. And then we held hands is a very similar style of game to Hanabi. It's a cooperative 2-player game in which you're trying to communicate your emotions over a fight. That's the theme. Really, there's this circle grid that you can move along depending upon the color of card that you play, right? There's this little circular grid here. And so the goal of the game is to go around the outer ring and then to be able to get to this middle ring and then the inner ring and finally arrive at the center at the exact same time. That timing is important because then it shows that like you've communicated effectively and you arrived at the right place. I think it's a really cute Zen game. But if I'm going to play this sort of limited communication style game, I'm going to play Hanabi. Like, Renee and I have played this a couple times, and we got into legitimate arguments about it because I was like, you are not considering my feelings. You don't consider my feelings. You're not listening to my emotions. And it's better to keep the fireworks going. So we're going to keep the fireworks going instead. And also, I just think, like, I enjoy Hanabi a lot more. It gives me the exact same itch. And this is one of those games where I won't reach for it. If I reach for it, I'll turn and I'll grab Hanabi instead. And even though it's small, like, I've held on to it because it's small, that doesn't mean small games should be off the chopping block. They shouldn't. They need to be on the chopping block. One of these, again, that was allowed to stay because it was small is this 8-Minute Empire. I think 8-Minute Empire is fine. It provides an area control game in 15 minutes. That's a really cool thing, but it's also something that I've realized I don't care about. I want an area control game in 2 hours. That's what I want. I like that. I like the length. I like the struggle. It's a cute enough game. You're kind of doing a set collection version of it. This version we got used to try out. It only could play up to 4 players because one of the sets of pieces was missing, but it plays up to 5. A decent enough way to start a board game night. It's just I like to dive right in. So that's why that one is going. This one, honestly, is another one that hurts me. Oh, this hurts. This really hurts, but again, it's because I'm not getting it to the table. This is Masters of Venice. And this one hurts me because, like, I put this on my hidden gems list. This was like number 2 on my hidden gems list. I think this is legitimately a really good game. If you like games along the lines of... It's tough. It's a stock market game. It's a stock market game, but it reminds me of the style of, like, Princes of Florence or, you know, Puerto Rico or something like that. It reminds me of that sort of drab style. But the reason it reminds me of Puerto Rico is because there's a number of actions and roles you can take on your turn. You can only take one of them. In a 2-player game, I think you can take 2 of them. And you're using those roles to get resources and manipulate the stock prices of those resources. There's like 6 different little peg boards where you move the stock prices up and down throughout the game. Everything is fluctuating. You have a really cool mechanic of choosing the location that you're going to go, and then you all simultaneously reveal. You have that on a little dial like this, and yeah, you choose your space, and then you flip it over, right? And say, okay, I'm going to this place. It's a slick game that, like, nobody talks about, and I want to keep in my collection because nobody talks about it. But it's also like a 3-hour stock market game, and those are harder to sell to get people to try, right? Like, you really need to be enjoying that style of game and playing those sorts of style of game. And if you do, I think this is really good. And if you see it, like, out somewhere, guaranteed it's not in print anymore because nobody cares about it. But if you see it, I just have to rearrange all because the insert sucks. So I'm doing that right now. If you see it out there, I'd go for it. Really, if you think, like, you like stock market stuff, like, really nice production quality. I've enjoyed playing it. But it's one of those things where I don't pull it off the shelf. And stock market games, for me, I really enjoy them, but they're particularly hard to get to the table. And they're also the sort of game where you really want to be in the right mood for them, right? And if you're not, then they become harder to get. It's also not an easy sell for people because, I mean, just look at it. This looks like one of the most boring things in the world, but it's actually really good. It doesn't matter that it's really good. It matters that I'm not playing it and I gravitate towards other things. And again, my game group is not really that interested in it. So it's got to go. I should say, Renee's going to get veto power at the end of this episode. Some of these might stay, but guaranteed, Masters of Venice is not going to stay. That sucks. All right, here's an easy one. Here's one that I got in a bundle that I haven't played. It's called Drakon. It says, you don't have to outrun the dragon. You just have to outrun your friends. It's first to get 10 coins, 10 points. You're wandering through a dungeon, murdering each other. I held on to this because it was in Roy Canada's top 100. He talked very favorably about it. And I was like, okay, cool. At least I've heard about it. At least I've heard somebody talk about it. And then I just haven't pulled it out, and I have zero desire to pull it out. I really do. Like, I read through the rules a little bit. I just don't think I would enjoy it, and I don't really want to waste my time on it. And I'm pretty good now at reading through a rule book and being able to assess whether or not will give me personal enjoyment or not. I don't think Drakon will. So sound off in the comments if you really think I should hold on to it, but I don't think so. So that one was pretty easy to go. This one is a tougher one to get gone because of it's such a beautiful production quality. There's a couple that have such beautiful production qualities. This Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon is by the good Dr. Reiner Knizia. There we go. You have this land, and you're basically going to play the same game twice. The first game, you're just going to have these circles that you put out, and you're trying to touch as many islands as you can. And you can also then put down some like huts, and these will be your starting positions for the next round, where again you expand and try to get resources and cut each other off. It's a really nice tactical game. If you like those games, if you like Tigris and Euphrates, I see Blue Lagoon has some of that DNA in it in terms of fighting and cutting each other off. I have Tigris and Euphrates, and I think it's better. Blue Lagoon is also like, it's a wonderful production quality, and it doesn't play that slowly. But it's just one of those things that I never reach for. I think it's best at 2 players. And I also think the decision space isn't that exciting. I feel like if you like Quarto, that's the one where you have the little walls and the little piece that you get to move one excruciating space at a time. It feels a little bit like that in this, where you're just doing one thing at a time, and you have to make your choices on blocking your opponent or trying to get to things. It's a pretty easy one for me to let go, I think. Rearrange these for the structural integrity. It's a pretty easy one for me to let go because I've never been thrilled about it. I've always thought it was good. I'd be like, yeah, that's a 3 out of 5, right? It's a 3 out of 5 game. It's good. It's a good game. Games are inherently good. I've never had a problem with Blue Lagoon, but I've never left a game of Blue Lagoon feeling exhilarated. And that's what I want. I want exhilaration. I want to feel the rush and the thrill in my games. And Blue Lagoon just doesn't do it for me. So that one was pretty easy to cut. Honestly, this one just has to be last because of the sheer size of it. Which one is that? What do you think? We'll go through another few easy ones for me. This is a little game called Sayu. And I'm sorry to Kanat, who's the designer. If you're watching this, I'm getting rid of this. I played it once. I didn't really enjoy it. Kanat sent this to me, but sent it to me unsolicited. And because I like the first game that he made called Eero. Eero's good. Eero's still in my collection. It's back here. You know what? I just got one that is going to leave the collection because I looked back and I saw it. Eero is like checkers on acid. Really lovely pieces. This one has really lovely pieces as well. Really lovely wooden pieces. Basically, you're going to draw a wooden piece like this, and it's got 2 sides. You'll either be black or you'll be red, and you're going to put it on a grid, and whatever it's pointing at, if the arrow's pointing at it, if these little arrows are pointing at something, you can see how there's a main arrow and a little arrow? If it's pointing, the little arrows are pointing at something, this then flips to that side, and then it orients itself in the direction of the previous arrow, right? And so and then that can chain into something else and chain into something else. And so it's like Othello in terms of flipping things over. Honestly, really lovely production quality. I'm thoroughly impressed with the production quality of this. It's just, I knew I wouldn't like it when I saw it on Kickstarter. I think I said I wouldn't really like it, and then I got sent it anyway, and I'm not just gonna... This is the review of it. I'm not gonna just make a review to I don't really feel like I need to make a review of this, other than kind of talk about it in one of these videos. So unfortunately, Sayu's got to go. Eero's gonna stay though. But what was on top of Eero in my stack that I didn't realize that can also go, this I wasn't planning on it, is Qwirkle Cubes. Qwirkle is a fun game. I have Qwirkle in my collection, and I was like, yeah, Renee really likes Qwirkle, and so I enjoy playing Qwirkle. It's like Scrabble with shapes and colors. Just a nice little abstract game. Qwirkle Cubes is you roll the dice. You roll your dice every turn, so you can potentially change the symbols of your game. This might be one that Renee might veto, but I think because I have Qwirkle, I don't need both. And it's absurd to me that I'm holding on to 2 copies of a different Qwirkle when we barely play the first one. So that's going for sure. This feels very good to get all these off my chest and off my shelves and open the door for more things that I could potentially enjoy. Something else that's going that I haven't played is Caylus Magna Carta. I read through the rules on this one, and it's just like a pared down version of Caylus. And I know the people in my life are too scarred by Caylus to play this game. I think this legitimately would be good. I think Caylus is going to be better, and I think neither are going to get to the table. So that's why that one's gone. Here's a big one that I'm getting rid of. Great Western Trail. I know. And this one's also a cheat. The only reason is because I have the second edition. We use the second edition in WSBG, so I have the second edition now, and I'm getting rid of the first edition. It's still a fantastic game. I don't think if you see either of these editions, either first or the second, I don't think it makes a difference. There's like a couple nice tweaks in the second edition, but like if you just play casually, you're not going to notice those differences, and you're probably not going to care. So yeah, don't worry about it. That's basically it. There's just like a couple little balance things. If you have the option for both for the same price, go for it. But if it's like, hey, I'm interested in Great Western Trail and I can get the first edition for $40 and I can get the second edition for $80, get the first edition for $40. You'll be fine. Yeah, I feel good about this. You know what? I was going to keep this game. It's in shrink. It was given to me as a gift, as like a joke gift. My friend Adam. And he wanted it to be like, I have this game, it's this game, storytelling game called Once Upon a Time, which I'm not getting rid of and never will get rid of and have never played. It was a gift from Brandon and Zach early on in our friendship. And it's like just a card game where you tell stories. It doesn't look good, but it is one of those things that I consistently bring over as an option to play every single time I go over, and we never play it. And just that is funny. It's funny to us. It's become this thing. It's worth taking up the shelf space. Adam wanted this to be a similar thing because he played Aeon's End Legacy with us, and so he got this for me for my birthday, and it's very, very nice. Maybe I'll crack it open and see if these puns are funny, because you know what? I don't mind a pun or two. But it's gotta go, right? I bring these up not to show you my incredible poor taste in games and lose all credibility, which I'm sure I've done. No, I take it back. You know what I mean? Like, we all have different tastes. Culling videos, you might see games that you love, and that's fantastic. And I love that you love them, and they just don't work for me. And you can have fun. I was having this conversation the other day with my neighbor Yuval, because we were playtesting a game, and we were talking about like, hey, is this game even fun? You know what I mean? You can have fun with anything. If you make the decision to have fun, like if I'm out for a game night with friends or whatever, I will make the decision to actively have fun, especially like if I don't know people well, then I will make the decision to have fun with whatever we're playing. If I know people really well and they know me well, then I can be a little bit more critical and be like, nah, I don't think this is a good game. And we can actually have a discussion about it and enjoy that discussion. But if you're out with somebody and they're just like, you're playing a game and like you can just buy in. You have the capacity to buy in and to have fun with a game, but that doesn't necessarily mean the game itself is fun. And I think also finding that as a distinction was a really interesting point to me. And speaking of Zach, was I speaking of Zach? Yeah, I think I was speaking of Zach. This is one that I'm going to give him if he wants it, because it's like a big skirmish game that's literally never been touched, and I don't know if it's any good or not, but I wanted to play it with him, and I just haven't read the rules or cared. This is an unpunched version of this game, which is called Abaddon. It's a big sort of skirmish game with these big old mechs, 32 like mechs in it. This is unpunched. Like, I got this in a bundle of games. I got like 20 games for like $200 or something, and I thought it looked really cool. And it's just, I just haven't pulled it out. I just haven't pulled it out. Like, I don't really have a reason to pull it out. I can't justify pulling it out for the channel, and that's what most of the games that I play are for, right? I'm trying to stay current and up to date on some stuff, and if not, then I want to take some time and a little extra time to play my favorites, right? And so because of that, I haven't like ever sat down with it and figured out if it's good or not. But I saw these cool chonky mechs, like they look cool. And I think it could be fun, but it also just might be a big old skirmish game. And I'm also not like a huge fan of skirmish games, right? So if it's just a skirmish game, I mean, if this doesn't tell you skirmish game, I don't know what will. A nice board filled with a nice grid board on a desolate landscape. Like, they aren't even open. And you've got all these, like, really fun-looking mechs. Like, just have a bunch of mechs running around. You got a bunch of dice. Like, I feel like this will be right up Zach's alley, and then he can teach me. You got another bunch of dice that you're going to put stickers on, and you got cups in it for rolling those dice and putting them out. I think this could be a hit, and that's why I've been holding on to it for so long. But I also know who I would play it with, and I feel like Zach could get it to the table sooner, judging upon the people that he plays games with as well. Like, he plays Warhammer and, like, meets up with people to play Warhammer, so I feel like this could hit with that. And so I will leave it into his capable hands. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll get this to the table. I still hope to play it. It's just I need to make some hard decisions and need to really be like, yo, Zach, I've never told you this, but we have this game that we might enjoy. So Abaddon does get the chop. Okay, I only have 5 more, but these are all good ones. And some of these might get vetoed by Renee, but we'll see. This one could get vetoed, but I think I can just pass it along. Chronicles of Crime. We've played through all of it, and when I've played this first Chronicles of Crime, I actually thought this was my favorite because of my first introduction to it. We played the fun sushi one, and I held on to this because there are a bunch of like community-driven scenarios and people who have made scenarios for this game. And I was like, oh, cool, that means we still have a whole bunch left to explore. But we also have the Chronicles of Crime 1400, 1900, and 2400, which we haven't worked our way through. And I'm finding my enthusiasm for Chronicles of Crime is starting to go a little bit down because I see the gimmick, right? The gimmick was exciting and fun for the first few plays. And I would absolutely recommend, if you haven't played it, definitely try it if you get the chance. But I feel like we've hit a point of diminishing returns in terms of what you can do with the sort of scan and play system. And if you're really not in the mood for it and you don't want to delve into the story, you just end up scanning all the cards, and you can kind of just brute force it by scanning all the cards. And sometimes it's not as intuitive. Like one of these, we knew that there was something buried somewhere, and we had a shovel, but we couldn't figure out how to interact with the game to like use the shovel to dig up the thing that we knew was buried somewhere. And so just stuff like that. And it's like, okay, you had to show the shovel to the person who was there, and then they would dig it up for you. But that just was kind of So this one, I feel like we've gotten all of our money's worth from. We still got the other ones to play. I'm not super enthusiastic about playing the other ones, to be honest, but I know that Renee really, really likes them. She likes that escape room. She likes that sort of cooperative journey, and I enjoy playing games with her. So that's that. Another game that I've been holding on to that I think is legitimately a great party game is Telestrations. Telestrations might stay. Telestrations is a really good party game. Telestrations is also a game you don't need the stuff in it to play it, but it's really fun. Basically, it's broken telephone meets Pictionary. That's what it is. I'll get a word and I'll have to draw it, and then I'll pass it to the person next to me, and then they'll have to see what I've drawn and try to guess to write a word down, and they'll pass that word to the person next to them, and they have to draw that word. And so you go through and you see if like how the broken chain happens. There's a way of keeping points in this, but there's no real way of keeping points. Like, it's just, you just keep laughing, really. But it's a really funny game. It hits really well. The reason I'm getting rid of it is because I don't have parties. I hate parties. No, that's not true. Well, it's partly true. Oh, this plays up to 8. I thought it only played up to 6. It plays up to 8. No, we're still getting rid of it. Renee will veto it, but we're still getting rid of it. I want to get rid of this because if I have 8 people over, you know the game we're playing? We're going to play Avalon. That's what we're going to play. Or we're going to play Wavelength, right? I don't see Telestrations being pulled out because it's so hard to gamify and so hard to use that point system. So even though the points can exist, they don't really exist, and I think that makes it a little bit less interesting for me to pull out and a little bit less interesting for me to suggest. Another sort of party-ish game that plays up to 6 players, plays two players too, but you want to play it at a higher player count, is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo I've had for a very long time. I think it's a solid, fun game, but it's also one that I don't return to ever. I don't. And I like playing King of Tokyo the best at 6 players. I think it really shines at 6 players. And I don't often have 6 players over for games anymore because I now am more focused on my gaming nights. I feel like with 6 players, though, it can kind of feel like a game of Big Brother in terms of if you want to make alliances and target people and go back and forth. My issue with King of Tokyo 2 is that I love the cards, and I feel like it's hard to get the cards. It's never really worth the rolling of the dice to get the cards. You kind of just like luck into them, or they're the cards, the energy that you use kind of functions, I guess, as like the bones in Too Many Bones, as like a consolation prize if you don't get the thing that you actually want. I think King of Tokyo is really solid, but it just does not hit my table anymore. And that's what this is about. We're starting to get into we're in the era of like good games. But just because a game is good, like, be honest with yourself. And I need to be honest with myself that like, it's fine. And I'm telling myself something that I've really rejected in the past because I'm so cheap and I hate taking a loss. The idea of you can get it back down the line. Like Alex from Board Game Co. says this a lot. And I feel like a lot of people say it, and I've never really bought into that idea of, well, no, because then I'll lose $5. I'm cheap. I'm an actor. I have a consistent budget. I manage my money on a razor thin margin in order to live. But maybe it's because now I've got a little bit more flexibility. I'm getting more gigs because pandemic's over. I don't have to be as strict and as thinking. There's always a way to get these games back. And if I think about like what I would sell this for versus what it would take to get it back, I also know people who own this game. I know 2 different people who own the game. And that's also something to consider when getting rid of stuff. It's like, I know someone who has this, so it lessens the sting. And that actually brings me to the second last one, the penultimate one, which is better, but I'm just leaving the big box one for later, which you can see in the timestamps, I guess. Is I'm getting rid of Legendary, the Alien game. And this one was a tough call to make. I've played this just once with my buddy Ryan. He taught it to me because, coincidentally, he owns a copy. And that's why I feel okay getting rid of it. It's one of those games where I look at it and I think, I really should give that another shot. Like, maybe I'll like it. Because I just found it was a bit okay. I think we had a weird approach to it. I think this does a lot of similar stuff that Attack on Titan does, and because of that, I'm just going to want to play Attack on Titan, which I know, versus this, which the setup is just so weird and annoying if you're not familiar with it. But I see the potential of this, and I see that there's a lot of good game here. I just never reach for it. I just don't reach for it. And I have to be honest that it's just sitting on the shelf. And I think if you ever look at a game and if you have that feeling of like, this has been really helpful for me, you have that feeling of, no, I should play that. Instead of, oh yeah, I can't wait to play that. Right? Those are 2 very different and distinct things. If you have that feeling, it's got to go. And so that's why Legendary also has to go, because it gives me that feeling. It gives me that feeling of, no, I should play that again. Life's too short. Like, it's really too short, especially if you have a large collection. Like, this applies to people with a really large collection. If you have like, I don't know, 30 games, yeah, keep it. You might play it again. But even at 30 games, like, realistically, you're probably not going to keep it again. So that's why Legendary is on the chopping block. And then something that I am also disappointed that I'm getting rid of, but I know in my heart it's the right choice. It also gives me that feeling that I should get rid of this. It's Dwellings of Eldervale. And you know what? I would be keeping this. Oh, friggin' hell. If it wasn't in this gigantic box.
You're doing a culling?
I'm doing a culling. You can,
What is happening?
Okay. Let me finish. We might be culling a little bit less, but we gotta, Renee, listen. We gotta talk about this.
No!
If we actively...
No.
What are you doing?
No.
I have Stardust Coffee.
No.
That's an extra copy.
Oh, but is it prettier?
Yeah.
No.
So Renee has just grabbed, and then we held hands, Telestrations and Chronicles of Crime. Renee. Renee, come here. All right, Renee's got to pee, but so that means I can talk about Dwellings of Eldervale, and then we can go on to me convincing Renee we've got to keep they got to go. Dwellings of Eldervale has got to go because the box is too big. That's it. I can't take it over to houses of people who might enjoy it and might make me enjoy it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine game, but if you're taking up this much real estate on your shelf, no. You got to be better than fine. Your standards, my standards have to be a lot higher, and your standards have to be a lot higher. If you're like Qwirkle Cubes, yeah, you can be fine. Sure, it could be a fine game. Even still, you should probably get rid of it. Dwellings of Eldervale is a fine, okay game. It's like a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But the fact is, it didn't hit. I found something like Endless Winter to be a little bit more interesting for me. Endless Winter is in a smaller box, has just as good production quality, is a cheaper price point for you to get, right? And deals with that mishmash of not really understanding or not really knowing what type of game it is and just trying to throw everything in there. Yeah, it's just okay. And I think I could grow to really enjoy it because like I love the game trays, I love the systems in it, but it's at a point where I'm not going to lose sleep if I don't have it in my collection. It didn't give me enough. Like, I'd rather keep Legendary over Dwellings of Eldervale because Legendary gave me more on that experience than Dwellings of Eldervale did. And so Dwellings of Eldervale, it's got to go. And the fact that I could sell it for I bought this for $80. Like, $80 for something that I'm not playing.
That's right, I lose sleep over how ugly that box is.
Okay, you're losing credibility because this is not an ugly box. It's like the art is gorgeous. Like,
yeah, strike that from the record. It's so big though.
The art is so cool. And like
so
the production quality is really nice.
Right? Like I feel like if it has minis and it doesn't need minis, it makes the game less fun than like.
Well, this doesn't have minis, you know this, right?
It doesn't have minis?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's
what is in that box?
Well, half of it is empty to have room for if you purchase the deluxe edition.
What?
And you wanted to add minis.
That's been sitting on that shelf empty?
Yeah, well, half of it's empty.
Oh my
Literally
God.
half of this box is empty, yeah.
Like a bag of chips.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Worse than a bag of chips. Anyway, so Dwellings of Eldervale, it's cut. You can see Renee's excitement for that. Unfortunately, Renee, Chronicles of Crime is going because we've played through it.
They might make more.
We have more that we haven't played.
But they might, well, honestly, it's not that fun, and we fight every time we play.
Yeah. And we have more that we can get through. We have at least.
Like, why are you getting rid of games I like?
Well, we all got to make sacrifices.
No.
I kept Morels.
Oh my God! If you got rid of Morels, I'd be so mad. It's a game about mushrooms.
We haven't played it in 4 years.
It's about mushrooms, Chris. It's cute.
So Chronicles of Crime, I think, should go. Yes? Do you want to pass it back to me?
No.
I'm going to give it to you all.
No. You'll get juice on it or something. No.
We've played all the scenarios. Do you want to pay $7 to play a scenario of that Chronicles of Crime? Like an extra one? Or do you want to play the ones that we haven't played? Out of the 1400, 1900, 2400? Because we need the space.
You know, if you do get rid of it, I'll forget we ever owned it.
I know. So you want to pass it back? It's going on the pile.
I don't want to pass it back.
You can also pass me back and then we held hands.
We do fight when we play this.
I did say that, yeah.
It's cute though, and it's little, and it's 2-player, and it's pretty.
When are we going to play that over Hanabi? That was my thinking on that one.
I feel like I've created like a minimalist monster.
Yeah, you have.
I really have.
We're
gonna throw out all your winter jackets.
We gotta be cutthroat. I won't go that far, but we gotta be cutthroat. Chronicles of Crime. We're keeping Telestrations. I'm fine with keeping Telestrations. I forgot that it played 8.
Yeah,
but
great.
my question is, when are we gonna host a group that will want to play Telestrations over Avalon or Wavelength?
When we play with boring people who don't like real games. And who are also happen to be funny.
Yeah, but we've cut them from our lives. We've cut those sorts of people from our lives.
What if we're at a family thing?
Then we'll play Wavelength.
Telestrations is fun.
Telestrations is fun.
We've had many a chuckle.
Many a hoot.
A hoot and a holler.
And a hoot and a hananny.
A hoot nanny?
A hoot and a hoot nanny and a holler. All right, Telestrations is kept. But otherwise, that's 1, 2...
I don't want to get rid of King of Tokyo either.
That's 17 games that are gone. Only 17. I thought it was 20.
What's behind Blue Lagoon? Anything? That whole pile and there's behind. What's behind it?
No.
What's behind it?
Nothing.
Oh my god. I'm saving King of Tokyo.
It's just Orbis that's behind it.
Saving it.
You're saving King of Tokyo as well?
Yes.
Alright. No, it's not
Give
behind.
it to me.
It's not there. I just said that. I'm not going to get rid of that one.
God. I look away for 1 second.
Anyway, that's the video.
So mad. Ugh.
These are the games that I'm getting rid of. No, you'll be fine with this. I think I'll also throw Mind Bug into the mix.
Yeah, I hate him. I shouldn't say it.
Renee hated it.
Don't say that. You always, every video, you're like, Renee hates it. Renee hates this game. Renee won't ever play this one with me.
Well,
you know why? Because you throw all the ones out that I like. That's why.
Yeah, I just like 2-player head-to-head games aren't really my thing. So I'm getting rid of Mind Bug. I'm also going to get rid of a bunch of these sort of Soul Forge fusion packs that I got. I did like a talk for whatever company produces those, and they sent me those, and I was hoping they'd send me Ascension instead. I should have clarified. But no, I'm going to give those to Zach too, because that's who I play these types of games with, and so if they're at Zach's, then we've got a much larger chance of playing them than if they're here. So really, it's just a reallocation so that I can get them to the table and enjoy them. Anyway, that's it for the list. We got Chronicles of Crime, and we got And Then We Held Hands. Yeah, that's pretty good. Telestrations and King of Tokyo are staying, and that's fine because they're both pretty good. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Let me know what was the most difficult thing for you to cull recently, or let me know a game that you think you should cull. What's the game that you think you should cull but you're holding on to? And list the reason down below, and you know what? I'll try to convince you to get rid of it if you want that, because I think it's helpful. I think it's helpful to tell you to get rid of stuff, and I'm feeling a lot lighter having these, opening the space on the shelves for more goodies. God, I'm an addict. We all are. Thanks for being here. My name's Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but at least I have some space on my shelves for like maybe a week. Oh no. Renee took Qwirkle Cubes back, so we have to replace it. Bonus game. Sorry, Aldabas, Doors to Cartagena. You were on a tall shelf and I didn't see you. I actually legitimately enjoyed this game as well. I think I would play something along the lines of Splendor. You know, it would be fighting for that sort of spot of action efficiency. You're building a tableau of doors. It's kind of cool. And all the doors score in different ways. It's just got a little bit of a larger learning curve for the scoring element of it for like newer players. And so it's not one that I ever gravitate towards. And so it's gotta go.